electronics area. Looks like they have MetroPie T-Mobile phones in this one. Yeah. They have 5G devices. I'm looking to see if they have a 5G device. That's specific. Doesn't look like they have the iPhone SE 5G capable version, which is the newest SE, which is a shame because the iPhones typically have the widest band support. With exceptions, because the S22 has the 3.45 support for AT&T, but that's an exception. There's a TracFone smartphone kit, but it's not even a kit. It looks like it's a paper that you have to shove in the face of an electronics employee, and I don't mean to do so aggressively, but just hand it to an electronics employee to order it. Too bad they don't have boost kits, because with any luck, assuming they get Dish native coverage, you'd probably be able to take advantage of it on Boost, since Boost is owned by Dish, and they'd probably want you to be using native coverage on their phones when possible. Okay. Keep your own phone CDMA SIM kit. That's a total wireless version. If you're going to use a keep your own phone kit, you're probably better off using a 5G phone, so that way, probably a 13 Pro or a 13 Mini at the very least. That way you have access to 4x4 MIMO, as well as as well as 5G. And if you're on 5G, then you're probably less of a burden on LTE. Especially if you have a phone with the most bands on it. Unfortunately, band 70 is currently not on current iPhones. Perhaps they could update that with a software update, since the modem itself would probably be capable of it. It would just need a software update to activate it. Same with the 3.45. A software update would unleash the capabilities. But the iPhone 14 is rumored to have band 70 out of the box, which is what you would want if you're going to be going with Boost, because that's going to be a Boost band. Or if you're going with Dish, if you manage to get yourself Dish, you'd probably want an iPhone 14 once it comes out, so you can take advantage of all the bands possible, so that way you're not straining any one band. Anyway, looks like they have Apple TV HD and 4K. Might be better off to buy the 4K, because 4K TVs are cheap now. And you're probably better off buying that than the Google one. That way, the difference in price might be the difference between having your identity store sold to advertisers or not. Now, the Roku is more expensive than Google. The Roku boxes are more expensive than Google, but cheaper than Apple. However, if you have Macs and iPhones and such, you might find that the Apple TV seems to work better. Or maybe it doesn't. But Roku would probably be a bit more trustworthy than Google, because Roku's bread and butter is selling the devices, not selling people's advertising profile to advertisers for money. That's why it's halfway between Apple and Google in terms of pricing. Looks like this is ridiculous. They have these papers that you're supposed to give to electronics personnel behind glass instead of the actual phones. I'm guessing they had too many people picking these locks and stealing everything, because there's almost no physical phones in here, except for some relatively crappy ones. That's pretty bad. And look here. The phone cards are behind the glass too. Looks like a flip phone. And it's not even a flip phone, but the card to get a flip phone behind the glass. That's crazy. That's crazy as hell. Where is the car? Okay. This is the an empty container. Maybe they're keeping it empty for the councils, to make room for the councils, rather than having to make room after the fact. Or maybe they're planning on uprooting it, who knows? Man. Okay, here's an Xbox Series S. Unfortunately, the lack of disk drive makes it something that I cannot buy, because I'd end up with games that I cannot play because I have the physical discs and it has no disk drive. Maybe it'd be something to consider if they come out with an external disk drive for scanning and validating the disks to then download the game. And hopefully you can then remove the disk with it remembering that you own the game, rather than having to leave the disk in there. But who knows if they it depends on if they come out with an external disk drive for disk validation or not. Anyway, the electronics area didn't look all that impressive. Granted, I didn't look at the computers. Maybe I should, but right now I'm just gonna grab a snack. Anyway, maybe I'll buy the snack in the electronics, because I did miss those games. Let's see. Okay.